Jacqueline Purcell. One of the things that I have found is that in this space, when you are afforded opportunities or support, even without knowing that there's people behind the scenes supporting you and pushing for you and pushing for you to be in the best pathway possible in this reentry journey, I found Jackie. And I am so grateful ever forever for the work and the support that she has done for many people that they don't even know the kind of work that she has done for them. And with that, I am indebted with her and how she has supported me through this journey, how she continues to support me through this journey. And I will pass it on to Jackie Purcell. She is the founder and CEO of Evolution Reentry, which is a support group for women and families and others, because she's expanded a lot more. And I'll leave you, Jackie, to talk more a little bit about what you're doing today.
Wow, that was an introduction. Thank you. And Judith, you are the one who has helped me, actually. So thank you. And Basha and Kelly, you guys are wonderful. I'm so happy to meet new people. And Evolution Reentry Services, yeah, we've come a long way. We now just added a music therapy department. And I'm fortunate my son is a violinist in New York City, so he's really hooked us up with some Broadway musicians. And we've been putting together some things on our website. One is from Dear Evan Hansen. They did a I Will Be Found, You Will Be Found video for us, which is wonderful. So I'm happy about that. And we are partnering with PD Green for education. I know Basha knows this, and starting college education programs. And we just rolled out the very first prison to homeownership program. And we have the very first house. We have a woman that is living in the house, and hopefully in a year, she will be the owner of that house. And I think housing is something. My background is property title research. So that's and I just recently got my real estate license. So I'm really pushing housing for formerly incarcerated people. I think that's huge. So that's what I'm going to be doing as a real estate agent and property researcher, is find the foreclosures that the banks have sitting there and try and get them to use, instead of being empty, use them for people coming home, to have a true home. We all know that a house is one thing, but a home is something else. So that's a little bit about me. And finally, education. Oh, God, I've had a lot of barriers with education. I went to prison in 2015, and there was really not a lot to help in 2015. And I had already a master's in business and a master's in social work. When I came home, I really was interested in criminal justice and the law, like so many people who go. And I decided to apply for my master's in criminal justice. And I got denied from 6 universities. And the first university that I applied to, I got my master's from my social work master's at Fordham University in New York, and they denied me. And I'm going to just add this into the chat. So if you guys wanted to, what I did was I looked at how the box lives on college supplements that probe criminal history. And actually, after I spoke with Judith, I was excited to prove that we can get in, having a blemished background doesn't affect going to college. And wow, I was really wrong, because 72% of colleges require applicants to make a disclosure about your criminal background. And so we looked at some of the Ivy League universities, Brown, Columbia, Cornell, and spoke to them. And they actually did say, and I posted it in the chat, Brown does ask for an applicant's criminal history, and it does factor in. Columbia, all applicants are required to answer whether they've have a convicted felony or not. Cornell, following protocol, they also ask the question. And I didn't put Yale on there because I applied to Yale and I got accepted. So, but they did ask, and it was a large interview to get accepted there. And I think one of it was the LSATs and some of the people that I knew that actually helped me get in. And I ended up getting my master's at Albertus Magnus College because they were the first university that did not ask if I had a criminal conviction. They have an amazing online program, and PD Green and I are working with Albertus now to do a education program for people that are incarcerated. I think that I don't understand actually how having any kind of felony or misdemeanor, anything on your background should play in to enrolling in any university. First, we're paying for it. Number one, if we can get financial aid, if we are able to get grants, I know the Pell Grant is a huge issue while you are incarcerated, but they do give the Pell Grant when you're home. And if we can get that, why are they asking about a felony conviction? So Judith, you sparked a whole new fire in me because the more research I did to prove it wrong, the more research I realized it is a larger problem than I even expected. And I just happen to have a phenomenal college that is right in New Haven next to Yale that I partnered with that embraced me. And my college professors, the chair of the department was a CO for 25 years in a maximum security prison. And he is now the chair of the criminal justice department at Albertus. And another professor was the assistant attorney general. And so my professors were all in the legal field in Connecticut, and I was the first person to challenge them and was very transparent when I was there. And I think I kind of blew them away at first. And a lot of the professors gave me a lot of pushback about the things that I was saying. But then an amazing thing happened where they embraced my lived experience to help the individuals and the kids on campus to understand what it is like to have been incarcerated and trying to rebuild your life. I'm home 10 years and I have fought very hard to get my notary license back. Basha knows, Judith knows, they both wrote letters for me for that. My real estate license was a big challenge. Getting into Yale was not as big of a challenge. But I'm getting my private investigator license right now. And that has been, they just approved me yesterday. So it's really a great thing because as of last week, I was a mess because they were not going to approve me, but I fought it and I was ready to take it to a hearing and ready to go public. And I think that I take it as part of my responsibility of somebody who has been incarcerated and rebuilt my life. I need to pave the way for other women and men coming through. I get these licenses not because I want to sell houses, or it's really because I can, and I'm going to fight it, because why shouldn't somebody be able to get their real estate license? And I committed mortgage fraud. So getting my real estate license was a challenge. And Oswald and I were talking in a private chat because he was telling me about Florida and how you lose your civil rights in Florida. And I really think that the reentry movement, which both Judith and Basha know my stand on this, we do not collaborate and unify as one. So we have all these incredible organizations working in their states and in their field, not even recognizing that there's other incredible little organizations. And if we came together as one, wow, the changes we can make. And I'm a big proponent of that. I share all my resources. I will put anyone's website on my website, as I have a resources page. And we are in the process of developing a phone number for people who've been incarcerated to come home, to be able to call, to get resources anywhere in the country for what their needs are. We're working with 211 in Connecticut, and we're trying to make the phone number 111, and we're having a little pushback with that. So I don't know if that's going to happen, but we are gathering up resources all over the country right now. So if any of you have to share, and I will share my entire email list with everybody. We have over 4,000 names on the list. I know some people have said to me that's unusual to do, but I really believe somebody has to step forward. These institutions of higher learning not accepting people into their institution because they've made poor choices in their life is unacceptable to me. There's no common sense. It's unacceptable. And I really think that we really need to make a stand on that, because education is the core to how to rebuild your life. I had 2 degrees before, and I always say there is, and Judith, you have to stop me because you know I'll talk forever. So when I get to, okay. So I always say there's my life prior to 2015, where I had 2 master's degrees. Then my life after 2015, where I needed to rebuild. And I started from the bottom and had to rebuild completely. And I couldn't even use credits from my prior masters because they were so long ago. I was back in, I got my master's in I won't tell you how old I am, but in the 90s. So I couldn't use those. So I really had to start all over again. And in my journey through the education, I got judged hard. And I never once tried to not disclose. I openly disclose. And sometimes people say, why do you lead with that? And I lead with it so people know. Number one, I lead with it. If I'm testifying, I do expert witness testimony for property research. I want every reporter who interviews me to know that I have a felony, because they're going to get feedback. If they don't put it in the article, I had that happen with someone at Forbes, did not put it in the article, and he got so many phone calls. Well, you realize she has a felony, and it was about a property that, so now I openly disclose and I shout it from the rooftop, because I am a product of my imperfect self. And we are all imperfect. We all make poor choices. And I don't believe in second chances. I believe in grace. I believe everybody deserves 100 chances. When my children were learning to walk, every time they fell, I didn't leave them there. I picked them up. And we do that for children because they're learning to walk. Well, when we come home from prison, we're learning to live life again. Some much longer than others. Judith, for an example, was away for a long time. And when you're institutionalized, you need people to rally around you to help you walk. I don't get why we push people down to not walk again. And in education, I found that was surprising to me. It happens so often. And Albertus decided to rally with me. They did a commercial on me, and on the fact that I have a felony and how it changed the university to try to get other universities to also open up their books. And we did have one small university in Connecticut who took it off their application. But together, I really would love to work with all of you together to get that box off. Every single higher education application. Have you been convicted of a felony? Well, if you haven't been, you've committed one. So if you haven't been convicted of one, everybody has committed one. I said that to the school, I was speaking to a bunch of kids, and telling them about it. And I said to them, I passed out a piece of paper and I said, I'd like for you all to tell me what redemption means to you. And I asked them all if they would speak to their parent had a felony. A lot of them said no. So then I said, well, how many of you in here drink alcohol on the weekends? They were all like, I said, well, you're all committing a felony. You're under the age of 21. And the buts I heard, well, but no, but that was, you're under the age of 21. You are committing a felony. You're drinking. And how many of you have gotten in a car and driven with even 3 drinks? I had kids raise their hands. Well, that's a larger felony. So when you're judging others on whether they have a felony, there's no buts. Everybody makes poor choices, and that's what makes us perfectly imperfect. And I tried to speak about that when I fought Fordham, and I had a 4.0 with my master's in social work from Fordham. The funny thing is, the commercial from Albertus, they commended me in their bulletin, even though they denied me. So yes, I wrote a nice letter to them saying, please do not ever put me in your bulletin when you denied me from your university after the fact. I'd love to get everyone's take on this particular subject, because I just think if every reentry company in the country gets together and starts fighting this box, it will happen. And why we don't unify and collaborate on these particular subjects, I get the grants, I get everybody's fighting for grants, but this doesn't take a grant. This takes a letter. This takes us to say we want education. Without education, you can't get employment. Without employment, you can't get housing. And without any of those things, there's no reunification with your children. There's no learning how to use a cell phone for many people. So education is the #1 key that starts the reentry process to be successful. So why set up people for failure? There's no common sense in that to me. So when Judith asked me about talking about education, I thought, oh, this could be easy because I have so many degrees. But it started to become not so easy on how passionate I started to become, because the people that I know that aren't, because they're afraid to even apply. And they don't want to apply because they don't want to put down, they're embarrassed or they're ashamed or to put down that they have a felony, and they don't want to explain themselves. So I think that as a whole, why do we need to explain? Why do I need to explain a poor choice I made in business a decade ago? When does reentry stop? We say reentry, but I'm 10 years later, I'm still in reentry. Why? Society. So I know I have 30 minutes to talk, but I really would love to take the rest of the time for us all to collaborate and talk about how do we come together on this subject and really just conquer it.
Funny how you pointed out that to the students that they most likely have committed some kind of breaking the law. It's some of the weird things that happen in Florida in particular is that you cannot sing while in a bathing suit. That is against the law. So imagine visiting Florida, not wearing a bathing suit and not singing. So anybody that has set foot in Florida, I am sure has broken the law. It's a matter of what they want to pursue. And sometimes that's unfortunate because sometimes they want to pursue and ruin your life in a sense, because that stigma, most importantly, that record will never leave you. And it's very discouraging because, as you mentioned, when do you stop paying and when do you leave a reentry behind? And I have friends that have been home for 20 something years and they still feel the barriers, and have to deal with that still at this age in time.
I'd love to, if I can, for 3 minutes, it's a 3-minute video. I'd love to share the video with you all to let you see how every university should embrace every single one of us. Is that okay? Do I have time to do that? And can I share my screen? Let's
You
see.
have sharing capabilities.
Okay. Share. Okay. Screen. Share. So I think you can can you all see that? Okay. Hopefully you can hear it.
My name is Jacqueline Purcell. I'm getting my master's in criminal justice here at Albertus Magnus College in 2022. I graduated from Albertus Magnus College with my bachelor's degree in sociology, my minor in business, concentrated on criminal justice just in 2021. I have a master's in business from 1998, and I have a master's in social work from 2002. I came back after a long time, changing my entire track, I guess, in life at 55.
There is no time for education. It can continue to evolve, and I think at different points in life, it takes on different meaning. You have a different appreciation for it because you know how much more goes into it.
I have a title search company, and it's 21 years old now. And I've had some bumps in the road along the way. In 2008, I made some very important decisions in business, and my whole family worked for me. And I think 41 employees at the time. We were really growing and growing, but the business was going down, and made some poor choices. I overstated my income on my mortgage application. Used that money to fund the employment of everybody in my business. As the mortgage industry imploded, so did I. So one day I'm sitting in my business and there's a knock at the door, and it was the FBI, and I immediately took responsibility. I wanted it to stop. I got sentenced to a year today and self-surrendered January 5th, 2015 to Demirfeld Prison in Connecticut. When I came home from prison, I had this fire. I wanted to help women, and I couldn't get a job with Uber. They denied me because I had a felony. So I realized I'm not taken seriously unless I had credentials that were current behind my name. And I had to reframe my life after prison because everything prior to prison was like my life didn't exist anymore.
For Jackie, this whole process is a passion. She truly wants to give back, wants to share her experiences, and wants to use all of that in the best way possible that she can help the women she deals with. And it's reflected in her work.
I started applying to universities. 3 of them I had degrees from. I was rejected from all 3. And it killed me.
I've been here 8 years, and I've had 35 students whose fathers and or brothers I had as an executive. I've had a few students who were in the system. That experience, that perspective enriched the class. I would never see it as a deterrent. And the fact that other institutions did, I was a little surprised.
This college accepted me. And that is huge for someone who's reinventing themselves. Albertus believes in what they have been founded on. They were founded on the Dominican way of life. A lot of other colleges and universities say they stand on what they were founded on, but on their applications, it's, have you been convicted of a felony? It is not on the application either. Every one of the professors at Albertus gave me their cell phone numbers. And I thought, oh, that's wonderful. It's really the way it is. They're so ready to give help. I'm not somebody who's used to help. I'm used to giving help, and I never ask. And I've learned being here, you can ask so easily.
I think the value to the student of having someone like Jackie come in and talk about her experiences is you don't get that before.
Given the freedom to live my life as an adult and still earn my degree. That to me is invaluable. Albertus Magnus recognizes that and doesn't hold you down to any strict guidelines and will work around those parameters. And that is what anybody who wants to go back for their master's degree.
So let me stop. How do I stop? Okay. And I just believe that every university should, oh, my thing is, I have to stop it. Oop. I think every university should be as welcoming as they were to me. And how do we get that message to universities across the country? It's up to us, right?
I think it's really, folks like you sharing your stories, the fact that you're willing to be vulnerable and share your stories to students, that's a big help. And that's something that we're hoping to do to help turn the tide at University of Louisville. We have a PhD student in our social work school who is justice involved, and he's spearheading a student organization. I think creating student organizations that provide that support, that's something we learned for the folks out in California and underground scholars. They started as grassroots, just students helping each other with those lived experiences and making that transition back into school and being successful students. They took it upon themselves to tell their stories to whatever classes would have them. If you think about not just CJ and social work, sociology, anthropology, there's so many areas where this is so important. And just also people have such a weird barrier in their head. But even when I started this work at U of L, I was like, oh, I don't really have interaction. I totally completely, like, I have committed crimes. I've just never been caught. I totally but when I thought about it, actually, yes, I do have family members who are directly justice impact. It just wasn't something that is at the forefront of my mind. People just put in this barrier like it's this other, and it's not. So many of us know directly. So as you said, and so many of us have committed crimes that we just haven't gotten caught for. So I totally, the way you said, talking about grace and all of that. Yes. But yes, I mean, sharing the stories, I think, is the biggest part.
Yeah, I agree. I think that many universities are just have an incorrect view of that because of that stigma. There's an incorrect view of someone who's been incarcerated. But in order to rebuild your life, education is the key. It really, truly is the key. And to get universities to open up and see that it does, like Albertus, and I recognize they gave me a huge scholarship. They utilized my lived experience to help them in this field where most kids would not have gotten that kind of education going through the criminal justice program there. And I really am a big proponent of being very transparent. And I think if we talk about our transparencies, then what can anybody say to me? I'm all over the place. And if you Google me, I am on every podcast, and no one could say anything because I tell the story myself. So to get ahead of it, I was telling Oswald, we try and flip the script. And we all have things that happen to us over the years, things that set us back. I have started reentry 5 times over since I've been home, many because I've had setbacks. And we become more sensitive, and we become more, when we're vulnerable and open, we become more open for other people to harm us. And it's important for us each to reach out and just pull each other up and not let us fall like we would a baby when they're walking, I think.
Beth?
Yeah, hi. Sorry, my video is off. I can't seem to make it work correctly today, but I just wanted to say
We just lost your audio.
I think
okay. Am I back now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm having a lot of technical difficulties here today. I just wanted to say thank you to Jacqueline for bringing up I think the importance of collaboration and bringing people together. There's something about a collective that's truly important, and I think it's one of the hallmarks of Unlock Higher Ed, the ability and the interest in bringing people together and trying to do that in a way that kind of is a multi-pronged approach. So, I come out of higher education, and I come out of women's higher education, and I come out of Catholic higher education. And so there are a lot of Catholic colleges and universities, similar to Albertus Magnus, that were founded by, religious orders, so on and so forth. And they have a very social justice um, um, a piece that is a primary principle within their mission. But one of the other things I would say is there's work to also be done on the legislative front, and whether that's nationwide or state by state. I know in the state of Minnesota, where I currently am, in our higher education bill, we got Ban the Box passed in Minnesota for the first time just in this last legislative session. So I would love to see other people and hear from other people in terms of what's happening in other states. And I was able to take a look at the website that you mentioned, the Evolution Reentry, and it looks like, state by state, people are kind of joining up. And, if there's a way to allow or invite others to participate in that and see what we could try to do collectively. I'm all in, and I think there are probably many other people around here who would be too. Thank you.
Oh, I love hearing that. And we have I make everyone available to our website developer or builder, and he's on there, and you reach out to him and he automatically will put you on our website. I want every reentry company or every organization that helps formerly incarcerated people get through every barrier on the website. And he's currently building our map of putting companies in the map so people can find where they live, find what help they can get, find empathy, find a community, find family. And it's a lot. It is a lot. And Judith and I have always spoke about collaborations and how important collaborations are. And it's something that I decided I'm just going to do. If people want to come along and do it, then that's great. I think there's enough grants for everybody to do good work, but to me, it's just being human. It's the human part of it, not the money part of it, that I think is the most important. And when we all together as adults will always help children and always help younger generation, why don't we help ourselves? As adults, we have to lead by example. And if we're not being kind and helping each other, how is the next generation going to learn to be kind and help each other? So to me, that's such an important piece of it as well.
One of the things I've always said, if we're such a large population in numbers of people that are affected, why aren't we like one protected class? We do have the numbers to be able to have a great loud voice to be able to make those changes happen. It's just a matter of coming together. We'll take one more question, Oswald, or one more remark.
Oh no, I was well, you said a few things, but I'm gonna say it real fast. You just said the word about becoming a protected class. So I'm doing some work like trying to cut into the United Nations. And I don't know if y'all familiar with the Sustainable Development Goals, but number 16 deals with peace, justice, and strong institutions. So we would fall in that lane. And one of the things I'm fighting about, and some international lawyers brought me in on the fight, is we need to get certain language added to the Sustainable Development Goals, especially when it comes to justice, because returning citizens are not protected. We're marginalized, but when they speak about like helping marginalized populations, that's one that's left out of the language from the United Nations, right? And when you think about it, that's why the United Nations never say, hey, America, y'all 5% of the population, but y'all got 25% of the prison system. The reason why they never ask anything, because there's no language that gives them a jurisdiction or a provision that say that to question that. So that's what I'm fighting to get in there. And more than just getting them to add a word or two, you want them to write at least a section. So I'm fighting behind the scenes on that matter. It doesn't seem like much, but sometimes you got to press from the top to make a change, because how are we going to tell the government like what needs to be changed? So it's kind of like a backdoor way of doing it. A couple other quick things. Bev talked about ban the box. In my area, we did ban the box. It's been around maybe 6 years now. And one of the collateral consequences of banning the box that we have found, when we fought for banning the box, it was great. We got it passed. Government agencies went to taking it off. Now you have a few companies took it off. The problem we're finding now, jobs that people with a background used to be able to get, is harder to get because everybody want to run a background check now. Some of the jobs that you used to could get without the problem, you can't even get those now because they don't ask, since they don't ban the box, they just run background checks. Now people are like stuck. So that's one of the collateral consequences none of us think about going forward, but we're seeing that full scale these days with the little jobs that we felt people at least could get through the door. They're even struggling with that. They could be on a job and they be working 6, 7 months there, 4 months. All of a sudden, the job there, we had a guy that got a job. He was there 5 months. He won Employee of the Month 3 out of the 5 months there. Corporate saw he had a background. They say, let him go. And the location loved it. They like, hey, this was the Employee of the Month 3 out of 5 months he been here. They was like, we don't care. They let him go. And because this stuff used to then go to the corporate level. So that's just something to think about. But I'm just thankful to be here. This is my first time catching on to Unlock Higher Ed. I've been meaning to get here, but I'm here today. I'm a graduate of P2P 28. I'm in the Best Just Leadership Cohort right now, 24. We have a baton. So all y'all ran y'all leg already, but we're running the race here for you. And something I will shout about Just Leadership, it actually is getting better every year. They had over 200 nominations this last time. They said it was the hardest they ever had to choose. So all of the great work all of us are doing is making it better and better going forward, right? So just know that we all playing a part in that. And that's all I want to share. And Jackie, thank you for sharing what you shared, because I know somebody named Dupay here, returning citizen. He had did time for a robbery, not a bunch of years, but he went for robbery. He got out. He had an apartment. Everything was great. He was working. The 1 year come to renew his lease. When he go to renew his lease, apparently they didn't run a background check the first time, but at the year they ran a background check, and all of a sudden in less than 30 days, he found himself from having housing to not being able to find somewhere. He found himself homeless. He was like their best tenant, never missed a bill. And now he has a program that for first-time homeowners. That's what he do, because he found himself homeless. So y'all kind of remind me of one another. He found himself homeless just like that. So keep doing what you're doing, and thank you. And that's all and last person, Scott, Middle Tennessee. So I'm the president on the board of directors for the National Association of Reentry Professionals. And our conference, Middle Tennessee did the CEUs there. We were having trouble with the CEUs, but Middle Tennessee came through for us. And as a matter of fact, they say any conference anywhere in the nation we do it, they're going to be there. So I love y'all, right? I love y'all, and I'm out, and I know how it is to be marginalized. I had put in to do my master's for Oklahoma, the Sooners, I did the application and it said because I checked the box about the felony, they said because I checked yes on it, they told me I needed they sent me a link to a portal, said I need to send them $50 so they could do a background check on me. I, I'm dead serious. You can't make this up, right? And in my mind, I say, there's no way in the world I'm going to pay for you to tell me no. So I just let that go. If you're going to tell me no, you're going to pay. You're not going to make me pay $50 for you to tell me no. No. And they recruited me because I graduated with a 3.9 out on my bachelor's and everything. And then I went through that. But it just, I don't say it traumatized me, but it just it just was weird. It was a weird feeling. I say, you're going to try to make me pay to tell me no. I got like offended by that. Right.
The struggle is real. And
It
it's
is.
at so many levels. You get it from housing, you get it from, education, you get it from employment, you get it from even just having insurance, or banking. They
Yeah.
just also throw you out. But anyways, this is why we come together to have these conversations to see how we can overcome these barriers and overcome them, overall, because it's a lengthy process to reentry, and many people are still in the process of reentry decades after they've been home. So this is why we have these discussions. And I'll bring it now real quick to our board chairs, just to give us an update of what has been happening and the events that we have participated in quickly. I know we're pressed for time, so I'll bring it on to Sheila. She is the chair for the federal subcommittee.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for your words, Jackie, too. You all know that we had 6 legislative priorities when we did Hill Day a few months ago. And Jackie, one of them was ban the box for education that we took to Capitol Hill. And we've been talking about next steps, thinking through the potential of a locally based advocacy campaign in the late summer. So going to legislators in district as opposed to meeting them in Washington, focusing on concerns about the fact that this is our 1-year anniversary coming up in a week, of the ability for prison education programs to exist fully and to implement Pell, and the fact that there is only one approved in the United States of America, and raising that as a concern and asking Congress to potentially question. We know where the roadblocks are, but question the powers that be and ask them why the roadblocks exist. We've also talked about, and this is something Ashton's going to be very involved in, whether she likes it or not, I need her. And that's the going back even more strongly to one of our other legislative priorities, which is digital equity too, and understanding some of that. So that's we're shaping that. We talked about it last Friday. We're letting everyone make sure that they agree with those priorities and thinking about methods for documenting it to our field and unlock our members and coordinating something.
And the fact is that digital equity or, digital access is so important because it's become part of our daily lives, right? Daily living. And when you're inside, you have no access. So just being 6 months away from that, it's already evolved to a point where sometimes you have to catch up and it becomes very dysfunctional for you to even attend to even filling out applications in today's process. People don't know how to even do that. People don't know how to even get access. People don't know how to even get the answers to their questions because they don't have those digital skills in place.
Exactly.
So a very important process that needs to begin from inside because, as we know, the digital space changes and evolves constantly.
Yes, and what Ashton is looking at helping us with is a scan. Is that a good way to say it, Ashton? I think of the fact that there are digital equity plans that have to be developed in each state to deliver to the Department of Commerce to access the funding statewide for broadband equity. And it has to include people incarcerated, but there's the letter of the law and there's the intent of the law. And there's quite a difference and distance between the way different states are implementing it. So we want to see true digital equity, not funding for predatory vendors to provide
It's funny you say that
access,
too,
so.
because with digital access, the amazing part is with Pacer, people can get full access to your information. I had my information stolen and credit cards taken out, and my whole entire case on Pacer was someone was using that, and that is a big thing I'm doing right now, that Pacer, because it's digitally able to be accessed, is actually hurting people in our space because everything's out there. It's so public, anyone can access. You can't, and judicial systems, many judicial systems that are state-based, you can't access people's files unless you actually go to the judicial court. But with federal Pacer, anybody can access it at any point in time, and your actual information, personal information, is in there unless you get it sealed. And it's really scary.
They do
Yeah.
have the capability, they do have the access, they do have the means, they just control it and block it and do not give us the receiver the actual
Yeah.
service that they deserve. And
Yeah.
that's
So Pacer is people being able to examine people who have been impacted.
Yeah.
The people who can't access that, though, Jackie, are the people inside who don't have access to digital.
Right.
And so it's a little backwards. Both issues exist, but right now, without the ability to access the internet from inside, you're limited in education, which is our mission as an organization to help expand, as well as a lot of reentry skills that are inaccessible to people who are inside. So that we're looking at to shape out as fall. So if any of you are interested in helping us with that work, please join the federal advocacy team. We could use the help. We need the words, we need the experience, we need the knowledge, and the organizational ability. So please join us as you if you are interested. I think Mickey's the one who hooks everybody up with committees. So
yes.
how you get added to each group, like electronically, yeah, don't see me. See Mickey. He's the expert.
Put your information on the chat and we'll get back.
Yeah, because Connecticut is wonderful with that. We do offer iPads. We have iPads in the prisons now.
We're still waiting in Florida.
Yeah, the state prisons have them, and they have access to education. Florida, you guys, I told you, Judith, you have it tough there.
Yeah, Oswald is breaking through, so that's what matters. And I will turn it. I know we're pressed for time, guys, and I appreciate you staying on. Real quick, I'll bring it on to our membership subcommittee. Beth, if you can talk about our goals for this year as far as getting funding and whatnot. Did we lose her? We might have lost her. One of the goals is that as a community that we are.
Sorry, Judith.
She's back.
Yes. So one of our goals is obviously it's always to increase membership. We want to get the word out and we want people to join us. We are as open and as inclusive as they come. So call your friends and neighbors and family members. We would like everybody, including other organizations. So that being said, one of the principles of Unlock Higher Education really is to serve as a coalition. So to Jackie's points, some of her points today, which is, bringing people together and let's act more as a collaborative or a collective. And we can do that. And there's some power and strength in numbers. That being said, we are always looking for additional folks who are interested in taking some leadership roles. And so if people have any interest in serving as a co-chair, you never have to do it alone. You always get a partner, and that's always appreciated as well. Let me know. I will put my email in the chat in just a moment. And I promise to respond to you, and we'll have a lovely little conversation. There's a lot that's going to be happening in the next 12 months coming up. And so it's not just what Sheila was mentioning in terms of some of the federal work, but there's really good stuff that's happening on the state level. And it also allows us, as a membership, we talk as a collective in terms of what it is our top priorities are. So that is established by all of us as a membership. So with that, if anybody has any questions, let me know, but I will go ahead and put my email in the chat.
And lastly, I'll bring it on to our messaging subcommittee, Nikki, who we cannot do this space without him. He is our tech guru. And again, digital skills are so important. And he'll talk about our upcoming conferences and everything else that's happening.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's so wonderful. And it's wonderful to hear what you said, Jacqueline. I never think of myself as still in reentry, but I've been fired from jobs that I was doing great. I've had girls dump me, all for something that happened 15 years ago. And it's amazing to think about that idea of still being in reentry. However, back to media and messaging. First of all, if you do want to join a committee, you can check on social media. You can check on the Unlock Higher Education website. We have sign-up sheets for the specific committees, which will add you to the committee. Please, please, please don't directly bombard my email with that, because sometimes it's a little bit of me to dig out. If you do have a question or concern, you probably have my email in your inbox, since I email everybody at least once or twice a week. So you are always welcome to add or to ask me something or talk to me something. But again, if you want to join the subcommittee, please check our website. Please get registered. We would love to have you. Media and messaging would love to have you. And we are the coolest, funnest committee because we just make Facebook posters all day. So if you're really into arts and crafts and like cutting things apart, come hang out with us, because that's what we're doing. With that being said, we just had the NASFAA conference, which included many, many of our members, including Sheila, including Judith, including a lot of people. And I'll let Judith discuss that one specifically a little more in detail. The Horizon Conference is coming up next month from July 22nd to 23rd. I would urge you to become involved if you can. If you're going to be there, please send me pictures. I love pictures. I love videos. And then I would also urge you, the Rise Up Conference is September 9th through 11th. But until I believe it's July 3rd, and you can check our socials in order to do that, or the Rise Up website. I'll put their link in the chat in a moment. You are welcome to go ahead and submit. And we really, really, really want people, stories, and contributions involved with the Rise Up Conference. They love to. And even if they don't give you a specific block to speak, they may pair you with a group of people. And last year, I think we had 9 Unlock Higher Education members who presented at some junction point of the Rise Up Conference. And that is so super exciting. But we really want to hit that number higher. We really want to hear all your voices. Again, you guys all have my email and know how to get a hold of me. You all can definitely sign up for a committee at the website, and we will constantly keep bringing you news, and I'll constantly keep working behind the scenes like the little wizard in the Wizard of Oz. And thank you.
And with that, I will, because of the sake of time, and I appreciate you guys staying this long, I will be closing out. But just one point that I do want to make on that NASFA conference, which was actually created and put forth by Sheila. She's one of us right here. Sheila, don't hide. don't avoid looking at us. She did a great job, guys. It was a place where many different individuals came together to speak about the hurdles and the barriers and the issues that are coming with access to higher education. But what I loved is number one, we had corrections, we had education, we had financial aid, we had people from all spaces, and all voices were heard. We had advocates, and we had people with lived experience. So it was a community that everybody came together and were able to discuss the perspectives. The only way that change would truly happen, and we have all those stakeholders together so that we can discuss true change that will be supported by everybody that is involved. That was one of the greatest things that I saw in this conference. And the other thing is the way that it was curated from the beginning to the end, all the way from like the application, the admission, the process, and the graduation. It was like a whole journey of a student going through the process of education while inside. And so, as we all know who have lived experience, reentry starts and should start from the inside, because we need to be equipped, we need to be ready to come back to the society, that we're still going to go through reentry in a different way. Because again, as we have discussed today, many of those benefits and access and rights, in my opinion, are not necessarily there and available for us in this journey. So thank you guys for everything. Thank you for being here. Again, Jackie, thank you for that enlightening conversation. And you know, you're like a true testament to perseverance and resiliency. So I applaud you for that. And thank you for paving the
you,
way for
Judith.
so many of us.
Thank you.
See you guys next month.